first stop going up the Blue Ridge Mountains. Boy, am I glad we stopped at a welcome center before we got on here. Our plan was to leave the RV down there and just drive up and back. They said it's about a 3-day drive, so I'm not sure how far we're gonna go, but it's beautiful up here. And the more I get around, I think I've told you this, I may continue to tell you this. Look at all the trees up there. I understand now how people could easily run off and live in the mountains and never be found if they didn't want to. I didn't realize there was this much beauty in the United States. Makes me want to travel all the more. Look at the steam coming up and the clouds. It's cold and it's chilly and rainy here. But after being in the hot, humid few days ago, this feels good. One thing I wanted to share with you is at that last campground, as we were getting ready to leave, I heard some a crashing sound. And I could just see trees rustling. I could tell that a tree fell. So, if a tree falls in the forest, does anybody hear it? Yep. Sure do. Another tunnel in the Blue Ridge Mountains. I think this said something Witch Mountain. Not very long, but really kind of cool. I don't know if you guys can hear. Old Hoke is working to get up this hill. It's a pretty steep grade. And he's a big rig. He doesn't work too hard to do much. Scenic overlooks. Yes, it's raining. Now it's not bug splatters, it's rain splatters. I'm going to let you guys read this sign. Pause and see if you want to read it. But this, in my opinion, is the greatest tragedy of our country right here. I got many others thinking that they're worse off, but I have to disagree. Right here. The banishment of the Indians. Anyway, this is we're still in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Absolutely gorgeous up here. Yes, it's raining and sprinkling. There's been a lot of tunnels. I love that. Look at the beautiful wildflowers. Boy, it'd be neat to look down in there and see wildlife. I'm hoping someday to see a bear. So I just noticed something, so hoping you all can help me. I've noticed that these trees, see how they're covered in that moss? And the leaves, I don't know if they're brown or red. Are those trees dead? Are they dying? They're pretty. Matter of fact, they're beautiful. But they're not all leafed out. Is there a reason for that? I know I got people on here that can sure help me out. A lot of people from North Carolina. Help me out, guys. Thanks. So guys, I turned around and I was just in awe. Hope I don't get choked up talking, but my God, is this not beautiful? This is in the spring. How can anybody say there's no God? Just beautiful. Just noticed the raindrops look like snow, but it's rain. I gotta share this with you guys. It is beautiful, and I know it's not gonna come out in a video. This is Woolly Back Overlook. Elevation 5,425. Pretty chilly up here. And then up on the side of the road, sorry, but Hope is purring. Look at the rock. It just goes straight up. Well, we're nearing the top of the highest point of the parkway, and there's a little trail here. It takes back off from one of the pull-offs. I'll tell you what, I think it's Blue Ridge Parkway. Forgot the name of this place. Look at all the wildflowers. Aren't those beautiful? I'm gonna walk out on this overlook, but we've managed to pick a foggy, rainy day, as you know, so we're probably not gonna see a whole lot. The Roy Taylor Forest. A man in his wisdom has made many wonderful and useful things, but no man can make a wilderness. Oh wow, that's really cool. Oh, and by the way, back at the other place, we found a visitor center, and I asked about how some of those trees were so heavily covered in moss, but they almost looked like they were dead. And he said, no, it's not summer yet. They haven't leafed out. They really haven't even had spring yet. So I guess we'll look down into the forest. Those certainly are not going to be able to see very far off, but it's a beautiful drive. I'll tell you what, guys, if I had my choice between driving through the Smoky Mountains and this Blue Ridge Parkway, I'll take this Blue Ridge Parkway any day. The guy at the ranger at the Forest Visitor Center told us that we're not near as busy as the Smokies. Well, looky there. Frankie may get to take the jump of his life. I guess we can look down. But he said it was last weekend, he went into part of the Smokies and took one of the loops into one of the campgrounds. He said last time he did it was 20 years ago, and he said he will never do it again. It was a very short loop, and it took over 3 hours. It was so crowded. And that's kind of the way I feel. My recommendation is going to be to people, unless you want the amusement park tourist stuff, go in up north, Gatlinburg and that area, and anybody from the Midwest will know Branson, Missouri all over again. Very touristy. But if you come in from the south, you're going to go a little bit into the into the Smokies, and then you'll turn up and come up the Blue Ridge Parkway. And I just think this is so much nicer. I like this so much more. Not near the crowds. The overlooks, there's so many more. They're much bigger. Whereas back in the Smokies, you could barely get in. It was just packed with people. And when I talked to the rangers back there, they said it's that way year-round. And that it wasn't as busy as it's going to be this summer, so... But if that's the thing you like, is lots and lots of people and lots of crowds and sitting in line in traffic, then the Smokies are for you. Look at that beautiful tree with the blooms. We've seen a lot of these. Anyway, well, I'm at the same spot, but you guys know me and plants. Look at that. I'm going to try to get close. I'll show you here. They're just in clusters, these little white flowers. They almost look like they're already spent. But look. They're just everywhere. I bet here in 2 or 3 weeks, this place just explodes with wildflowers. I don't know, is that the same kind up there? Those almost look pink. And those trees have those beautiful white blossoms. Wow, close to those little white blossoms. And that's the tree that they're on. What kind of tree is that, guys? You North Carolina folks, you'll know. Look at those pretty little yellow flowers. And I read somewhere when I was reading a booklet that the black-eyed Susans are just wild here. Do you know how much work we have to do back home to plant those, to grow those? Okay, here's those trees. That almost looks pink, doesn't it? Wow, what I wouldn't give to have these kind of trees. I'm hoping we can find a campground up in here somewhere. Right now it's only about 55. My kind of camping. That's another way that the old farmer and I differ. I like wilderness camping, boondocking. He likes to be able to plug in. Oh my God, guys. I hope I can get him. I hope I can get one. Can you see that? Where did he go? Oh, he flittered away. No, it wasn't a robin. They have a kind of an orange breast and white right up above it. Now I need a local person with me to tell me all about all the beautiful plants and stuff and the wildlife around here. Well, here we are at the highest point on this parkway, at the Blue Ridge Parkway, and it is beautiful up here. The birds are singing. We got a little tiny break in the weather. The fog's been so bad you can't see very far in front of you. Now they told us as we entered down there at the south end that we could do the full parkway. It would take us, I think he said 3 days to do it. It's like 450 miles. And he said 3 days because you're taking your time. And the speed limit on this parkway is 45. One of these days, but I don't think this is a trip we're going to do it in. We hadn't planned on that. We were going to go back west, I think. I decided to take a look at the wildflowers. Look at those dainty little flowers. Those look like wild strawberries to me. Everywhere I look, just stepped little tiny flowers. Oh, even some teeny tiny little yellow ones. If this isn't their spring yet, and it's too cold for all the trees to be leafed out, just imagine the beauty that this is going to be when, in a couple of weeks, when it starts to warm up. So I think it said we're in the Pasquara National Forest on this Blue Ridge thing here. And what I really am liking, of course you guys know I like rocks, but these stone walls, they're massive, massive. And there have been a couple of times we've gone along and you can see where rocks have freshly fallen. Most of them are the old. But look at those veins of whatever. Look at that in there. Isn't that just so cool? Every now and then you'll come along and there'll be like little waterfalls. Now that little driplet over there is nothing, but they seem to all be where you can't stop and get pictures, but you can see it running all the way down from the cliff up there.
Water running, getting it.
So we decided to get off of the Blue Ridge Parkway because we could have been on it for the next 2 or 3 days. And we just took a highway that went south. No cell reception. I think we're in North Carolina. We're not even sure of that. But we stopped by a little gas station in an itty bitty town and got directions to a campground. And we're just pulling out of Pisgah National Forest. But he also told me where some other campsites were in this national forest. He then told the old farmer that this was a very windy road. But it's beautiful. There's little mountain streams off to the side. Every now and then you'll see big rocks and little waterfalls coming down off of them. Beautiful, beautiful drive. Hey guys, well, we've got a campsite in Pisgah National Forest. Don't remember the name of the campground. Very, very nice. We're under a flood advisory, which I'm not concerned about. The people at check-in were a little worried, but doesn't sound like it's going to be anything major. But we still got the drill on what to do if you were told to evacuate. So it's a good learning thing. We just got back from a very long hike on one of the trails. Forgot to bring my camera, but I have a question. I picked this up, and it is such a beautiful flower, and it's everywhere. They're laying everywhere in our campsite. So I know some of you are going to know what this is, and I hope that you will share it with me. And what kind of tree? I've never seen so many, well, I have, but I'm reminded every time. So many different trees. And also, I learned something new, not just every day, but several times a day. This is a rainforest. This is considered a rainforest. I didn't know that. I thought the only rainforest in the United States was up in Washington State. But I'm finding out there's more than that. So how fascinating. I'm also learning why nobody wants to come to Kansas. You come to these places, who wants to go to Kansas? So anyway, who can tell me what that beautiful, beautiful flower is? And what's the tree? All right, guys. I'll pan around at our campground. It's another one of those that the sites can be kind of close, but there's so many trees you don't really notice. We were told that everything is booked up. We were able, from Thursday through the weekend, we were able to get a site for tonight. They have quite a few. So anyway, everything's going good. We've lucked out again, flying by the seat of our pants. Later.